Hey guys, Mr. Bowman here. Today's learning objective is in white and we are learning to determine the percentage of a given quantity. So this relates to percentages, which is a continuation of the fractions and decimals and percentage type work we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. And what we're looking to do is we're looking to find the percentage of a certain number. So let's say in the recent test, which is a very common example of where percentages comes up. So in the recent tests, there were 40 questions in total. And of those 40 questions, you did really well, and let's say you got 32 of them correct. You would be asked to calculate the percentage of correct questions from that given test. And the way we do them is on the bottom, it's normally going to be the total or the maximum number of things that we can get. And up the top is the favorable ones, the ones that kind of you got correct or the ones you're looking for. So in our case, it's going to be correct divided by total. And as always, when we're dealing with percentages, we do need to times it by 100, or else you'll be stuck in the decimal version. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 32 divided by 40 times 100. And you are allowed to use your calculators to assist you with the maths like this, but I know that 32 is 4 out of 5. And I would get 0.8 if I did that in the calculator. And then I'm going to times that 0.8 by 100, and that's going to leave me with 80%. So I got a test score of 80%. Okay, so I'm just going to change pen colors. Let's go to blue. The next one I want to think of is maybe you've just got yourself a big bag of M&Ms. And I remember when I was your guys' age, I would always kind of sort the M&Ms out in colors. And maybe I figured out in that big bag of M&Ms, there were 120 blue M&Ms. So you must remember, this is a huge, huge bag of M&Ms, tons and tons and tons of M&Ms. And let's say you maybe also figured out that there were 600 M&Ms in total. And we want to figure out what percentage of that bag was blue M&Ms. So we don't need to set up our formula or our work every time, but just to clarify. So again, it's going to be the bottom, that's going to be the total. And up the top, that's going to be the things that we're interested in. So of those total, we're interested in those blue M&Ms. So that would be 120 divided by 600. And don't forget, it's a percentage, so we do need to times that by 100. Technically, we probably should have put times 100 down there as well, just to clarify our formula. Once we've done that, we can then use our calculator to figure that out. And if you put that in your calculator, that 120 divided by 600, that would have got us to 0.2. We're then going to times that 0.2 to convert it. So times it by 100 to convert it from a decimal, which we have, to a percentage, and that would give us 20%. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm quickly going to pause the video here. I'm going to clear our work, and we're going to look at a different type of question that's also to do with determining the percentages of given quantities. Okay, so I've cleared those two examples, and just to note, it actually is really important when I'm going through these examples, I do strongly encourage you, please pause the videos. Please get down those examples and maybe the formulas and the working that I did. That way you've got a really good reference to look back to later on when you're doing more questions. Okay, so we're going to get into our next questions, but if you do need a pause to do that, please do. We're now looking slightly differently. So we're going to carry on with our test theme. So let's do with a test. But let's say for this test, you need 75% to pass. And I remember when I was doing some exams at university, that pass rate, it wasn't the normal 50%, but it actually was a larger 75% number. And let's say there were 80 questions or Qs in that test. How many questions or marks do I need to get to make sure I pass my exam or my test? And what we're going to do is we do the total times, I'm going to write this, times the decimal version. So we do need to do a bit of trickery there. Or another way to think of that is to undo the percentage. So what we could do is we could do the percentage divided by 100. And we can do that math. So there were 80 questions in total, and we're going to times that by 75 divided by 100. So that divided by 100, we're undoing the percentage. And that becomes 80 times 0.75. Awesome. And we can plug this one straight into our calculator now. And 75% of 80 is 60. So what I need to get 60 questions in that exam to pass overall. Okay, just going to change pen colors. Let's use the pink pen here. And we're going to get into our next. Okay, the next really common percentage examples that I can think of is to do with shopping. Shopping, they love saying 20% off, 50% off, 80% off. And that's a really good real world application of percentages. And you can often figure out how much you're saving. So let's say, well, we all know I like collecting my Pokemon cards. So let's say the Pokemon cards that I'm really, really interested in, let's say they are $75. But the store that I like to buy my cards off, they're currently having a 30% sale. So we're saving 30% of that price. How much money would Mr. Bowman, or how much money would I save from that? So we need to figure that out. So let's come up with a plan. So as always, we need to go total times the percentage divided by 100. So we're finding a proportion of that big total price of 100. So we need to find a smaller amount within that $75. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 75, and we're going to times it by the percentage, which is 30, divided by 100. So that's also 0.3. We're then going to, okay, next step, we're then going to go 75 times 0.3. So what we've done is we converted that fraction into a decimal now. And if we plug that into our calculator, that means I'm going to save $22.50. So those are two more examples of how to find percentages of numbers. And we also had two examples before where we were trying to find how much we were given and convert that number into a percentage as well. So we're looking both ways, going percentage, back to numbers, percentage, back to numbers. All right, so guys, I really appreciate you watching this video. Do write those examples down. And just to see who is still watching, because I don't think maybe some of us don't watch all the way to the end, can you please write Mr. Bowman's favorite toys, Pokemon? Can you write Pokemon down in the description below, just so I can see who is watching all the way to the end of these videos? Cool, guys. Thank you so much. Let's get into some questions.